Welcome to the Get Offset podcast. My name's Emily.
My name's Andrew.
And today is it's kind of a little bit different for us, don't you think?
Yeah, a little bit on the different side, but not an unwelcome different. I'm pretty excited.
Yeah. So I mean we've done guest hosts before, but we've never done two of them at once, and we've never done it in person.
Right, so that was super cool.
We've also never interviewed the guitarist from my favorite band before.
That is also true.
Yeah, so just so everyone knows, today we're going to be talking to Steve and Tad from The Hold Steady. They're a band that means a lot to me. I've been listening to them since I was in high school, and I just have a lot of emotions about them uh, as a group. And I so I don't know how much I should really get into it, Andrew.
I think I don't want to get too much into the episode contents, but just for some context. So, Emily, you've been super into this band for a while, which
Yeah,
that
since high school. I mean, I think they were my first 18 and over show at the Southgate House, rest in peace, in Newport, Kentucky. And it was like a few days after my 18th birthday. It was at that moment I realized, oh, I can go to shows at the Southgate House now. This band I like a lot called The Hold Steady is playing. It was on a school night, and I told my mom I really wanted to go. And she's like, I don't think you should. It's a school night. And I said, well, I'm 18, so you can't really stop me. And she stopped and she said, I'll go with you. So my mom took me to my first Hold Steady show, ripped the poster off the door on my way out. A few months later, my best friend Michelle and I went to see them again, also in Kentucky. And they became one of those bands that I would see once a year. And then I saw them in 2010, and they just didn't come back to Nashville, and then they stopped touring. And before I knew it, it'd been 8 years, and I hadn't seen the Hold Steady in 8 years, and it really bummed me out. And then they started doing these residencies, and last year, Rick and I went to see two of their shows in San Francisco. And after the sound, we bought like these special sound uh, check tickets. And afterwards, I went up to Tad and I just started asking him about some guitar stuff. And then I started talking with Steve, and then I saw Steve at the airport the next day when we were leaving, and I just kind of kept up with them. So when they were coming to Seattle, uh, Steve's a little bit easier to get in touch with. I think Tad would agree with that. Uh, I asked, like, do you guys want to do the podcast? And they were down, and that made me very happy.
they're super down, and they're also, well, first of all, they're super rad folks, and I being new to the band, and the whole scene from an outsider's perspective is really neat. I got to go to the show on Friday here in Seattle, and that was just a total trip. I'll get into it with Tad and Steve a little bit about my impressions, but that was so rad. I'm so thankful I got dragged into this. So
Yeah, I mean, it's something where, like, I always liked the band on record, and then when I saw them live, it was transformative.
yeah,
Is the best way I can describe it. I think they're just one of those great live bands, and then the audience, and we do get into that in the episode. The
right.
audience is very special.
So we'll say that for the episode. Shout out to Tad and Steve again for being on the show, and can't wait
Hmm.
to listen to them. Before we get into the episode, a couple of bits of housekeeping.
I want to talk
We
about the Hold Steady more.
what did we talk about it so much in the episode?
Okay, but I didn't. I didn't. One thing I didn't get to
Okay.
do. I wanted to give a shout out to the singer Craig, who I ran into on the street the night after. Um, Andrew went to the show with me, and he bought my friend Amy and I a beer. That was really. It told us some really great stories. So that, yeah, it was just a very special weekend for me on a personal level. I'm sure that some people I saw at the show are going to listen to this. So Brendan, Amy, TK, Lauren, Spencer, Josh, um, Ron. If you're listening, hey, hey. Oh, also Mimi, the ER nurse. Fantastic.
And
Thank you.
and it was a pleasure meeting all of you fine folks, and it
Yes,
was such a great group of all y'all to be around, standing next to.
truly. All right, and now you can get into the housekeeping, Andrew.
Okay, a little bit of housekeeping. I'm really excited to announce, or not I think we've already announced it, but we've got a new addition to the For Fuzz's Sake lineup of merch. It's a fun little phrase. I really, as much as cursing can be cathartic, there's also something kind of fun about replacement words. And there's also just it's like an inside guitar joke. I think it's super funny. I think it's kind of rad. And so we got that t-shirt up in the store. The
It's
t-shirt
pretty
is,
neat.
it's, yeah, I did a little bit of work on this, and shout out to Ryan from 60 Cycle Hum for being so willing to take a look at the ideas I was throwing his way as I was trying to flesh out what this was going to look like. But it says For Fuzz Sake on it, and the background is a circuit design. It's actually the circuit from the Mount Hood Fuzz Boost that we did in collaboration with Spruce Effects. So it's a really, there's layers to the meaning of the shirt. I think it's super rad, and I think you should get one. They're really reasonably priced. They're like only like $20. So
Yeah, there's something like that. Okay. So just because like the shirts are more expensive for like the double and triple XL, I think those might be $1 more each or something like that.
yeah,
Can't
so
really can't really help
we
that. But
got that.
I
And
wanted to be able to I wanted to be able to offer those sizes because I know it's important to people.
no, definitely, I'm a huge fan of that. And then, so we've got that. Buy yourself a shirt. Don't forget to buy a hat. Which reminds me, I need to buy myself a hat. I did give Tad the hat off of my head
And
because
he
he was
wore it
like,
at sound check.
he wore it at sound check. I could not be. I was so stoked to give it to him. But I also really like the hat, which means I just now need to order another one for myself. So that should be. If I think I've already ordered it, so it should be on the way.
Oh, you
And
did?
yeah, so.
Nice.
And then one last thing before we jump into the episode, is a word from our sponsor, is the man, the legend, the myth, Chad Jennings of Jennings Guitars. Check out the website if you haven't already. Check out website, Instagram, give him a follow on Instagram at Jennings Guitars. Great dude, amazing builder, and just I don't want to oversell it. Just take a look and enjoy. Just allow yourself to soak in how great those guitars are. The big thing for you to take away is don't let the good looks fool you. They're not that expensive for a made in USA guitar. They're super reasonably priced. Don't
Oh
let the
yeah.
good looks fool you. So
Don't
with
let the
that
good looks
said,
fool you. Wait. You forgot. We talked about the Mount Hood, but we didn't talk about the sale on the Mount Hood itself.
oh, we didn't talk about. So we've got more stuff for sale. We've just got everything on the planet you could want and more.
The Spruce
Mount Hood.
Effects, yeah, at Spruce Effects website, you can get the Mount Hood. Use the code Get Offset to save like $40 on it.
Yeah, it's like, so it's I think that makes it $200 shipped.
Yes.
So pass go, collect 200, and I don't know what else you would spend on, or you could just pass go and get a Mount Hood Fuzz Boost. That just seems like the logical answer.
That sounds a lot more fun. I love
It does
mine.
sound a lot more fun.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Well, I'll let you get back into introing us to the episode. I'm done interrupting you. I keep being like, I'm not done talking about the things I want to talk about.
I know there's so this is such a week of hype, and there's so much to talk about, and so much.
But
So
Andrew, I'm
why
sorry.
don't we just?
There's one more thing I need to tell you.
Okay.
Last night I booked tickets to see the Hold Steady in Nashville, so I'm going back to Nashville.
Addicted for life.
Yeah.
Very cool, very legal. Let's just jump into the episode. I mean, what can I say about this intro?
It doesn't have to be pure.
It doesn't have to be perfect.
Just sort of has to be worth it. We tried.
It just kind of,
sorry, Craig.
The fact that I'm like this new to listening to this band, I'm already like starting to like have quotes pop around in my head. That's a huge, I think, not to toot my own horn, but I don't normally do it that fast.
Denver Haircut's a cool song, man. No, wait, that's Denver
That's
Haircut.
Denver Haircut, yeah.
Yes,
So,
awesome.
all right, let's get into the episode.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, yay. Hi.
Hi.
Bye. Hi. Welcome to the Get Offset podcast. My name's Emily.
I'm Andrew. Hey, I'm Steve from the Hold Steady.
And I'm Tad from the Hold Steady.
Awesome. So, you guys are in Seattle for the first time as the Hold Steady in a while.
2014, I believe.
Yeah?
Yeah.
2014?
We were here.
Yeah. Well, Andrew had his first Hold Steady experience last night, and I kind of want to get his take of it. You haven't really listened to the records or anything, right, man?
I started listening this week, like more in depth, but yeah, it was pretty green showing up.
Nice.
But Emily's been talking about it so much, I feel like
I feel like I just went to church for the first time. And, like, she's my friend. She's like, you should come to church with me. You should come to church with me. I feel that's kind of how it felt walking in. Everybody knew each other. It was super rad, and I'm officially a fan. I was really blown away.
You caught the spirit?
Got the spirit.
Yeah, I caught the bug, the spirit, whatever we want to call it. It's contagious.
So would you say like when you say it was like church, like the communal experience of that?
The communal experience. There's the, like I was raised Catholic when I was a little kid, but I don't remember like all of the liturgy and the things to say. And so when I showed up, and everybody's got the hand motions and the 5 and the 1. I'm like, you guys, everybody knows this stuff. I feel so left out, but also like I want to be a part of this now.
I was trying to give you cues.
You were doing a great job.
It was a fun time.
I was
How you
catching on
feeling
a little-
today, though? You feeling a little rough this morning?
It was a good night.
Well,
Good.
if
All right.
you're feeling a little rough, and it's a proper Hold Steady show
Yes,
for you.
Yeah.
that's fair.
The whiskey flowed freely.
Okay, who's that cat, Tad?
It's that's Ziggy.
That's your cat?
Yeah.
I have a black cat also, Princess Carrie Fisher.
It's National Black Cat Day
It is.
today.
It's National Black
And
Cat
you know
Day.
what? My cat, I had a black cat named Skinny Butt, and he died in 2003 before we had pictures on our phone, so I can't I don't have a picture of Skinny Butt.
Skinny Butt.
He
That's a
was
great
awesome.
cat
He
name.
was such a rad cat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ziggy is like I named him after Danzig.
Oh, yeah, nice.
Because he's like his whiskers are black, his nose is black. There isn't like he's completely, entirely black. There isn't a white speck or any other thing on him.
Nice.
It's really bizarre. So especially when it's dark in the apartment, like you kind of
Just a void with
if he
eyes.
doesn't blink, you sort
Yeah.
of can't see him depending on where he is.
Yes, that's what I love about black cats is that sometimes you take a picture of them and they are just a void with eyes.
Yeah, it's hard to
Yeah.
get that, especially with the phone cameras. Like
Right.
what was that?
Oh, don't worry about it.
Okay, like the shutter on the camera phones or the Thank you.
Apertures. Yes.
Yeah, it's and you miss it entirely. Sorry.
Oh, totally.
That's Kumar. I'm living that Maine Coon life.
Those are beautiful cats. I heard they're good for people with allergies, but
They
I don't know
are.
if that's true.
No, I had 3 short hair cats, and they all shed like crazy.
Andrew's got his garlic fries.
Yeah.
Cat's got his
Tacos, that's him.
Thank you.
But yeah, he sheds so little for a long. All my short hair cats just left hair everywhere, and Kumar doesn't.
Yeah, Carrie is. Yeah, I don't know why I bought a blue sofa. That cat is messing it up.
I've heard there's somebody used the word hypoallergenic.
Yeah.
How are cats hypoallergenic?
Well,
They don't
they're
shed
less.
a lot.
And I don't
Hypo means
Latin.
less. Like
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So they're not
like if you're
non.
hyperglycemic, it's too much, sugar.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're hypo.
It's low blood sugar.
Okay.
I remember biology. Like how
I have-
much
I have
the cell
hypoglycemia.
is saturated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I can't not eat.
Yes.
I get hypoglycemia.
You're hypoglycemic. Okay.
That's my girl.
Oh, nice. What
Yeah.
do you know what kind of cat that is?
Just an American domestic short hair.
Okay.
I don't know. She was an adoptee
Yeah.
situation.
I love those eyes.
She's got great eyes. She's a sweet girl. Doesn't.
Yeah, she's got definitely a feminine.
Yeah.
I had a tortie girl cat that was amazing. She was so pretty. She got killed by dogs.
Yeah, that's a gnarly
Oh.
story.
That was yikes.
It
Took a
sucked.
turn.
It's bad.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
But I'm gonna keep it positive.
Yeah, you gotta stay positive.
You gotta stay.
I heard that.
All right, you want me to stop recording for a minute,
Just for
Andrew?
a minute,
Hear
yeah.
that later.
You know what? Set that on this. That way, if people put something on the table, it's not going to
That
There we
is
go.
key. So we are in a bar with Tad and Steve from the Hold Steady. Very exciting for us. Very exciting for me.
I'm also excited.
Yes.
Yes. When we were waiting for you guys, Andrew kept you kept talking about amps. And I was like, okay, buddy. He was very impressed with your amp setup.
Oh yeah, so we're talking outside, and so one of the things that I was listening to this band, like this band sounds massive. You said there was 2 guitar players, though, like this, like a really good mix, but then also a keyboard player. And then Emily was like, oh yeah, and the singer's also a guitar player. I'm like, 3 guitars and a keyboard player on stage. How do you make sonic space for that? When I showed up last night, I was checking out the amp setup. You got the Vibrolux and the AC-15, so the bigger amps, and you've got that Magnetone and the AC10.
AC15.
AC
Yeah.
is it AC15?
Yeah, yeah.
All right. And then Craig has the Princeton.
Yep.
Does it just seem like descending order the size of amps almost?
Well, that's because we do so many fly-ins and stuff. Those are that's just rental
Yeah,
stuff.
that's our
Okay.
Yeah,
Seattle,
we just fly with a couple guitars and pedal boards, but that's pretty comparable to what.
Yeah, I mean, it's the new world order, so to speak. I mean, we used to tour with, like, I had a 50-watt Plexi half stack and an AC30,
Yep.
you know, and you had...
Well, yeah, when we first started touring, I had a 100-watt Park, like a
Nice.
1971 Park, and a
Super reverb.
super reverb
Nice.
that I
Yeah.
ran always.
My favorite Fender
Yeah,
amp.
yeah, yeah.
Might as
Always.
well,
Yeah.
might as well.
It's the best sounding
But
one.
it's-
Man, that's
Sir.
where it's at.
Oh, can I swear? Sorry.
I don't care.
Oh, okay.
You can. We do edit it out
Okay, that's
afterwards.
fine. Yeah, you're gonna have
We
to do
edited
some
them in with
editing.
cat meows.
Oh, that's great. I'm gonna swear constantly.
Yeah.
Watch your mouth.
Job. Guys.
But you know, so yeah, like it's kind of gone to small combos, but like here again, things aren't quite what they seem. Like, so I got a Vibrolux, but I'm using. So I got an ABY box that I go in.
Yep.
I
You
run
got the radio on your board.
the AC15 and the other amp together all the time. I don't switch back and forth. But I've got a box of rock feeding the Vibrolux.
Okay.
That's
Yeah. I almost wore my Z-Vex shirt today.
Because
Yeah,
if I were to wind up that Vibrolux, it would be too loud. Also,
Exactly.
because when I'm like Tad's an island on himself, he can kind of do whatever he wants to do. But since I've got the keys and the bass, you know, on either side of me,
Right.
like they're like, "You're too loud, you're blowing me out." So I have to like figure out volume.
So you use the box of rock to attenuate?
It's like a
almost?
master volume, yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
And the magnetone that I'm using is actually to wind that thing up to where it needed to be to have it sound good. It would be, you know, like blow me off the stage. So what I'm actually doing is, well, Steve has one too, but they're the little Vox. What are they called?
AC50 or
AC. No, it's not. It's just called the Vox AC. It's one of those little micro amps.
Yeah.
oh cool.
So I have one of those that's basically dual lock to the back of that
Yeah.
Magnavox, and
Nice.
one of the speakers is going into that,
Uh-huh.
and then the other speaker is coming out of the external speaker of the AC15.
Oh,
So the
crazy.
magnetone isn't even on.
yeah.
Though yesterday at soundcheck, I'm using that Vox now as a preamp, kind of, or a same thing. He's
Right.
going to Vox, like I'm using it as the master,
Right.
and then you know the magnetone is just the sort
Right.
of power section of it.
Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna try and put I have my Vox amp, little Vox with me as well, but the Vibrolux is that weird Fender like 2 ohm, like the way they would do their
Right.
combos. So it's you can't put it in there. It's a mismatch of feeds.
The little Vox microamps have been. I mean, I think I can always get mine to sound pretty much how especially if I can blend it with another like
Yeah.
decent tube amp.
Right.
I can get it to sound, you know, how I like it or how I want to, and doing the fly thing, especially when you're dealing with backline equipment and you don't, you know, you can tell them what you want, but it doesn't
Right.
mean that necessarily that's what you're going to get.
Right.
It's nice to have some consistency to know that at least you're going to have one amp that you know how it sounds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's little and portable.
Yeah, and it goes in a guitar case.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and
Yeah,
two,
okay.
like just like the way we've been doing things, you know. So we've been doing these residencies rather than touring. Like we don't get on a bus and go for show after show for week after week.
Right.
It's just like we post up in the city and do 3 or 4 shows. But because of that, we there's rental gear, but it's also kind of, I think I think I speak for Tad when we were both like you can get a little bit precious about things. Well, this is how I get my tone. But it's kind of freeing to be like, whatever, man, just give me something and I'll make it work.
Yeah, you know,
Right.
like I'll sort it out. It's sort of fun to be like, well, let's see what we get and let's see what we can do with it.
Yeah.
Right.
Rather than like, no, I need 2 high-powered Tweed twins and 2 Dumbles, and like that's the only way that.
It's like, oh, I can't play this.
Yeah.
I can't turn down.
Yeah.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
If I can't turn down, it's my tone.
But yeah, just put the sneeze guard in front of me and see what
Yeah.
happens.
So it's, you know, when we were talking about pedal boards, I think when this was off,
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were a little bit.
Oh, bike gang.
Oh. It must be going to the sea monster.
What's the Sea Monster?
It's a biker bar.
Okay.
Okay.
That thing was it.
Not that kind of biker bar. That kind of biker. Louder kind of biker
It's a
bar.
rad bar name. I would definitely go to the
Yeah,
Sea
it's
Sea
Monster.
Monster. Yeah.
That's what they called me in prison.
Or is it the Octopus Lounge? I forget.
You know,
They're like across from each other.
I've never been to the Sea Monster, but I almost went in. It's so funny story. I was chaperoning for my sister-in-law's 21st birthday. It's a long story, but my in-laws were like, "Hey, she's gonna go out with some of her friends. Could you just tag along and make sure nothing bad happens? Because in a city that for a young woman, there's a lot of things that could go wrong." And so I was like, "Sure, I'll tag along." And there was a show happening at the Sea Monster. They wanted to go, so we were walking. We parked and we were right at the corner where the Sea Monster is. And I ran into a bunch of my coworkers, and one of them, thank goodness, isn't a guy I work with anymore. But he was like, "Hi," like they all said hi. I thought we just shake hands. We'll see you at work on Monday. Cool. And then he's like, he got all creepy and wanted to like talk to my sister-in-law. He's like, "Oh, like it's your 21st birthday. Like if you're looking for a good time, like I've got a studio. We could go hang out later at my place." I'm like, "Dude, this is my sister-in-law. Could you not?"
Yeah.
The whole like awkward like edging myself in between until he got the hint. She shut him down really well. It was really funny. And
Good for her.
it was so creepy though that my sister-in-law was like, "Yeah, I don't want to be in the same zip code as that guy.
Yeah.
He's going to be at the bar down the street." So we left and went to Cap Hill.
I wouldn't edge myself in between them. I'd just grab a glass off the bar and smash it into his head.
I was tempted to, but I didn't want to also lose my job over it.
You don't want to cut your hand before it.
Right. Speaking of which, so I was putting like, so we were saying how Steve and I had custom audio electronics for Bob Bradshaw built for us, and they're enormous and wonderful, and also sort of just absurd and difficult to move around the country when you're flying.
Yeah.
So we've kind of gone back to actually kind of pulling parts here and there off them, but mostly just like building our own. I don't know, like Steve's got sort of I had to kind of copy how he set his up the other night in the hotel room. I'm like,
Oh yeah.
it sounds all funky and weird, and my what pedal?
The Lex?
My rotary pedal.
Yeah, Strymon Lex. Yeah.
It was in the wrong spot, and it sounded shitty, and
Yeah.
so he had to pull us out, and he opened it up, he left it on his bed, and he was like, there you go, now you're gonna look at mine.
Just this is how I do it.
Yeah.
Well, like, because when we got like the Bradshaw stuff, it was, I mean, I don't know, that was several years ago, but like, I mean, the pedal board thing was getting going, but like there was not as much available in terms of like different, like the pedal trains and
Right.
the Gator stuff,
Yeah.
Right.
So like, cause I had gone from like, I used to use just like straight up just a piece of plywood
Right.
with Velcro,
Which
and-
I also copied.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I was in another band that was on the same label as the Hold Steady.
Bloodthirsty Lovers.
Bloodthirsty Lovers. That's how I met these guys. And so Tab was like stringing this shit, on the floor, and I had like just to plop down.
My scene was weak.
But
Just carrying them around in a bag.
Yeah, literally, yes.
Yep.
Been
Been there.
It's nice to go back to doing your own thing because like there's so much more available, like to make a really clean,
Yeah.
tight rig. And I think too, like the Bradshaw stuff was cool, but like it wasn't as modular because the way he built it was so like the infrastructure was such where you really had to like dig in there and like it was hard to change things on the fly.
Right.
But with the
It
board
must
now,
be impossible to
yeah.
change things on the fly.
I also totally didn't really even understand how it worked a lot of the time,
No.
so I was screwed.
I mean, because it had a brain, and
Yeah.
like so. I didn't do the pedals in the drawer. I had like, in a rack or whatever. I had the pedals. I like to have the pedals in front of me, but
Right.
there was a controller that
Yeah.
had like all just the buttons.
Oh
that-
yeah, the
so
looper
yeah,
thing.
yeah, and ostensibly you could program it.
Yep.
But in 4 years, I never did.
I didn't
I
either, and
don't.
I was 8.
I mean, I like weird pedals, but I don't like to have to bust out a manual.
Yeah.
Right, yeah,
Like,
yeah.
give me a one-sheeter tops, a little cue card. I love there's a company called Caroline Effects, yeah. And I just love they just send you a little card, it has some recommended settings, and
Yeah.
then you can kind
I
of
love
roll
that,
from
too.
there. Yeah.
The closest I'll do is like the secondary features and the Strymon stuff. I have to like look it up on YouTube.
Yep.
YouTube.
Yeah.
I actually had to get on YouTube to figure out how to change the
Was I right?
slow. Yeah, you hold them both down.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
You have a little strifecta.
I do. I have the
He's-
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's the trifecta is the
The
Big Sky,
trifecta.
the Mobius, and the Timeline.
There's actually a definition for it.
Yes, that's the.
Oh, that's
exactly.
no.
So
See, I can't. That's the
there's three
original
big
one.
ones.
Yeah.
Too
Three
much
big
stuff.
box ones.
I have the Mobius that I used to have on the Bradshaw board, but it didn't make the cut with on the other board because one is too big, and
Yeah.
two it's got a screen on it.
It's
Yep.
just
I hate the screen.
what's it called? Option paralysis or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah,
You know, it's
exactly.
I can't deal with it. Like I don't want to be scrolling.
Yeah. If I got to scroll, I'm done.
I haven't
thought
done that.
about some, but
The closest I've come to thinking about it, and I might pick one up, is the Helix HX Stomp. So it's a little mini
Yeah.
Helix, just as a decent amp in a box kind of deal for home.
Right.
I don't
just
know.
as a decent amp in a box for home.
And maybe like there's a couple of effects that
She
I
says mockingly.
I know.
Just
There's
a,
a
just a
couple.
$500 decent box. How much are those things?
On the used market, they're coming down under 500. So.
What? I don't know what you're talking about, to be honest.
So Line 6 has the Helix 4 units.
Okay.
They do everything, including
Did you
like
say
amp and cap.
the HX sound?
Yeah.
I could do that too. Yeah.
So on Reverb, I know they go new for around 600, and they're selling on Reverb for about 500. I think I saw it listing for like 425.
Is this
a
what
slow
Rhett
guy.
Scholl is playing through?
Oh.
I don't know off the top of my head.
Just a decent little box in the name.
But I mean, it's almost along the same lines of like the Kemper and the Axe Effects.
See, I've thought about doing this, like just like going straight, like no pedal board, no amp, like
Yeah.
showing up to a backline gig and just being like plopping that down. Oh, sorry,
I knew that was gonna happen.
plopping it down and just being like, just put because like then you know you're gonna be like if you don't have an
Yeah.
amp, you know you're gonna be in the PA.
Right.
Yeah.
But they're not gonna be like, oh, this guitar's too loud, I'm just gonna dump them. It's
Right.
Like, if you don't have an amp, you have to be in the PA.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I mean there's a lot to be said for it, but the big unit's like $1,500, and there'd be no point in. I mean, you could do that maybe an Expression or a couple of other pedals, but
But the purpose is you don't have to have other pedals. Isn't it like the point?
well, right. That's the whole point. I'll be honest, it does sound good. It just isn't my jam, and for a guy that doesn't play out in a band currently, it just why?
Right.
I've heard a lot of people. Well, I feel like, and I don't know if you probably experience this too. I have a lot of people.
Good.
A lot of people talk to me about some of the amp modeling stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and like.
The Kempers and stuff?
Yeah.
Soft tube.
Yeah, I mean, listen, for as far as plugins, for recording, Steve and I were talking about this too. Like, I love the software. The software is incredible, and I use it all the time. In fact, there have been times even on a couple things that I've done that have been released where I didn't use an amp. I plugged directly in, like,
Yeah.
because it's so the software is so powerful and it sounds so good. But for live, it's just like and maybe this is just me not getting with things, but from going to a half stack when it's kind of blowing air against the back of your legs
Yeah.
to nothing now. The smaller amps I love because they're controllable,
Right.
And you can kind of use an array of them and
Yeah.
to get kind of blended tones. But I don't know, the amp modeling stuff. It also seems overly. I don't want to say complicated because I know it's easy to use, but it's just like hey,
Right.
But I've got a 10-watt amp that sounds great.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Totally. I know that there are some like churches that do like the no sound stage, like silent stages.
A lot of churches choose to do that. And I've played
Yeah.
for churches that do that, and you just
Oh,
show.
really?
Yeah,
Yeah,
you just
there's
have
no-
everyone has in-ear monitors. and
Yeah,
the drummer's
okay.
like behind a wall or something.
Yeah,
They put them
Does
in
that
a
work?
fish tank, basically.
fish.
Yeah, the sneeze guard.
Yeah.
A buddy of mine, like he plays to a basement, and like they have it like in the basement.
Yep.
But he just got the aux box or whatever.
Right. Aux boxes are great.
Yeah.
I played for a church that you run a radial SGI, so it converts to XLR balance, and you run that however far to the back room.
See, I have a church gig. I have a regular church gig, and I just have an old Vox Cambridge, which I bought in like 1994
I love that
on a
thing.
whim. It's one of the greatest amps ever. I didn't even know what it was when I bought it. Now I'm like, I'm so glad I bought this amp so many years ago. It's like a Princeton, basically.
Okay.
110, but it's but yeah, I just use that, and nobody seems to complain. I get away with it, so it's
Good.
cool. The whole church thing, man. I didn't realize all the scene around that.
That's like driving such a big part of like
The pedal market, right?
It's
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
insane, and the pickups and the amps, everything. They all want to appeal to the church folk because they have like these weird, crazy budgets.
Right, they have the money, and like you can.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
You're this kind of controlled environment where you can kind of just, and depending on where you play or what kind of stuff? Like, do you cover a wide range of stuff? I guess I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, wasn't interested in getting into multi-amp setups until I started playing in churches quite a bit more, and next thing I know, I've got a full wet rig going on.
Oh wow, wow!
I like how that sounds quite a bit. Dual mono is also a great option, but there's something about having that stereo spread that's really cool.
Yeah, I used with the Bradshaw board system that I had is set up so it's stereo outs.
Nice.
Which sounds really cool, but the size stages that we're generally playing, and even how we set up, like we always set up pretty tight. I don't know that you can always tell when it's stereo.
Right.
Well, you have to be like in the right spot in the room, probably.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and like our jams don't really like that's not where we're kind of coming from in terms of like like listen to the way the echoes are ping ponging off.
Yeah. Though I will say that I have an ABY box.
Yep.
And Steve and I were talking about this the other day. I will flip it during the show.
Yep.
Just stage volume wise, like sometimes if it's just tearing my head off.
Yeah.
I'll flip it so it kind of cancels each other out, and that way it's not as gnarly there. And Scott, our front of house guy, can always, he's like, God damn it, he can hear me do it. And
Right.
They'll just flip the face of the board. Yeah.
Right.
Nice. So I was thinking we could talk about how you guys are doing touring now, since like it's a pretty unique way to do it, and it seems to be working out well for you. So for listeners, instead of doing like multi-week tours, the whole city sets up these like weekend-long residencies in a couple cities a year, and people seem to travel quite a bit for them.
Yeah, we've been doing how many cities? I think we're doing 6 cities this year. Is that right?
So
Brooklyn,
we started here in Seattle, Chicago, Nashville, Boston, and then Brooklyn, right?
Well, and we did, and then
we did that one run with the Frank Turner thing. So that was Boston,
New Jersey,
and Connecticut.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that was like a little just kind of primer run. It was really based around this Frank Turner Lost Weekend thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So we just kind of were like, well, we might as well put some shows around this.
Yeah, and then that was a good way to kind of get things cranked back up. So we played in March. So then also we do the London in March.
Yeah, and that's an annual thing now.
Oh,
so
nice.
It's like the first weekend in March. Yeah.
That's really cool.
But yeah, I mean, like so much has changed. I mean, like what we call an album cycle. That's the term for it. It's like, you get maybe you get a chunk of money from the label, whatever that is anymore, and you go in the studio and like you're supposed to have like 15 to 20 tunes to record.
Yeah.
You put the album out and you tour it for 2 years, and then you take a break and you do it all over again. It's just like nobody really consumes music in an album format almost. So it's like, so we started kind of just recording when we had stuff, and we releasing that as singles, and then now we have this record. But like, it speaks to the touring model too. It's like you don't have to do that, or we're fortunate that we can do what we do.
Yeah.
But it seems to work out for. I mean, I know people that come to my town. It's like, believe me, I get it. I live in Memphis. Nobody comes to Memphis. Nobody tours to Memphis. We're not even a secondary market. But it's like, well, how about you go see a city? Enjoy this vast land that is the United States.
And we certainly try to pick places where people would want to go and spend a weekend.
Yeah.
Right. And I mean, your fans probably not a lot of 18-year-olds anymore.
No.
I mean, I started listening to y'all when I was 18, but now I think that it seems like a lot of the fans are have jobs, families,
Kids,
a little bit of money,
Sure.
and they can afford to do that.
There was a guy that brought his kids to the show last night. That was super rad.
The
Hank.
teenager.
Well, and then there was Hank and I'm just blanking on his name, but yeah,
there's Jack Epstein and Levon too.
Okay, right. Yeah, I see a lot of kind of parents with. I shouldn't say a lot, but there are several, and I always like to see that. Like, like I think the way that we've been operating, for the past couple of years has been like this paradigm that existed forever in the music industry.
Yeah.
That doesn't exist anymore, and it seems like there hasn't been a there was a shift in that it doesn't exist, but there hasn't been something that's necessarily replaced it.
Right.
So you can kind of do whatever you want.
Yeah, that's the thing. Exactly, it's exactly that. It's like there's no rules anymore. I mean, like the cat's out of the bag, the horse is out of the barn, whatever you want to call it. Like, I mean, it's I mean.
Let's go with cats and bags.
Yeah, that's right. Cat's out of the bag because this is a cat forward podcast.
It is a cat forward podcast.
I feel like the other nice thing, just from a practical standpoint, the way you guys are doing it is you can afford to keep a home. Like I've got a friend in a band that they did the same thing. They toured for 2 years and he just doesn't have a home address for 2 years.
Well, that's like Adrienne Linker from Big Thief was just talking about that. She's like, well, I guess I'm going to find a place to live for the first time in 3 years.
Well, yeah, and
we went through that early, but I mean, I've been pretty.
Yeah.
The touring cycle too, just the way that you used to do it in doing, getting on a bus for 6 weeks or a van or whatever. I mean, it isn't. You can end up really hemorrhaging money.
Oh yeah.
I mean, like
expensive.
The overhead that we cut out by just posting up, I mean, even with hotels or whatever, but just posting up in one place and not having a bus, not having to pay for the bus driver, pay for the bus driver's room, pay for insurance. Yeah. Because like there's a whole apparatus of like a touring band, like when you're a business like that. We cut out so much of that.
Yeah.
And it streamlined everything.
And we were kind of able to go at it from the perspective of like, all right, what's fun for us?
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, because the bottom line is like this allowed us to do it at all. Like, it's like, oh, come in my town. Like, I don't like this, way you're doing it. It was like, well, we wouldn't be doing anything.
Right.
Like this gave us a sort of not a new lease on life, but it's just a new way to look at stuff, and it's that changed. It went into everything else we do, the way we record, the way we write. It's that one start of doing like a residency at the Toronto or the Brooklyn Bowl or whatever. Like it just sort of was like the one pebble that kind of changed everything.
And it helps to inform sort of a lot of the other areas, like the way that we've been recording now, as opposed to, like Steve was saying, writing 20 songs, and then booking out a month, 6 weeks at a studio, and going in and recording, which can be oppressive, kind of in a lot of ways, creatively and spiritually and everything else, and it creates a lot of kind of unnecessary pressure.
Because you just come off the road of playing an album, and then you're like, now create something completely new.
Well, and you try and write on the road.
And now we have to finish this thing because this is what we do, as opposed to saying like, hey, you know what? Let's get together and record 4 more songs.
What do you got? Like what's in the Dropbox?
Steve brings in a couple songs, and Franz has a couple songs, and I have a couple songs, and then Craig starts to comb through stuff and whatever he responds to and works on lyrics, and then we all get together and work on the songs, go in the studio. And then it's like, okay, we did that, and then let's do it in 2 months.
Yeah.
And it makes everything less precious, and which then allows you to have more fun.
And I like the variety because, like, everybody's in like just wherever headspace they're in, after those 2 months go by, or like, it's like, hey, like whatever, it's fall now, and I'm feeling some autumnal vibes, or whatever, and it's cliche, but there's a real thing of like, if. Like, look, if an entity gives you a big lump sum of cash, there's going to be a dude from the label that's going to show up and say, so, how's these sessions going? Let me hear what you got, I mean, it's like...
And then they get to say.
Sure, it's... and hopefully you're working with them and everybody, but still, it's like, we're just kind of... It's not that we're doing it on our own, because we have an outside producer, Josh Kaufman, but it's just it's more relaxed, and ultimately I think it's more musical.
Yeah.
Whatever. It's just working for us now.
Yeah.
And it keeps you. I like doing kind of small chunks or small bursts of it, because you're constantly being creative, as opposed to having to switch gears and like, all right, now we're in the touring phase, or now we're in the writing phase. Now it's like we're writing all the time.
Yeah.
And I say this all the time, but like, being creative is something that you have to be in shape for, like you would, doing something physical, like running a marathon or anything like that. Like, you wouldn't just roll up and say, all right, I'm the starting line and here we go, because you'd never make it through it.
I hope
and this
not.
way it keeps you in that creative, shape, perpetually. So,
yeah, and too, like, I feel like, you go in and you do a session, you record 5 songs, and then like you kind of live with those for a while, and you get jazzed about it, because you're always stoked when you record something and it kind of comes together. But then you kind of listen to that. It's like, okay, well, where can we go from here? Like, what can we add to this? Do we need like a ballad or like I'm listening to these recordings and they're inspiring me to write something else.
Yeah.
And it's this kind of like hopscotch sort of thing where whereas like when you make a record, it's just like you put all your chips in, and then you just tour it, and then you like
the way that we've been working, I think helps to sort of what's the word I'm looking for? It sort of shepherds or you're really good at this. Help me out. The evolution of creatively what you're doing, I feel like it's I can't believe I'm doing this. I'm usually really good at this.
It's never happened to me.
Yeah, but I think it really helps to kind of inform that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice.
It's more of a creative cycle.
Yeah.
And that's just the whole thing. It's just like stay being creative. Don't turn it off.
Yeah.
Because we can just we just go out when we go out and we record when we record.
Yeah, we write songs and we play shows and we're a rock band and that's kind of what we do.
Yeah.
So.
And you got fans apparently who will come from a lot of places.
See, we wouldn't do any of that if they weren't there.
That's the very fortunate part of it too. Yeah, like that kind of allows us to do those things because if that didn't exist, those people didn't exist that wanted to come see us play. It's kind of
and like they're kind of part of the narrative too now, and it's like there's Franz came back and like we kind of got a renewed lease on like creatively, and it's weird how different like the music business is changing in 2014 when we put out Teeth Dreams, but like it's so radically different now than even just 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And so that record was what it was, but like I feel like there is some air in us now, some light, and I think people respond to that too.
Nice, yeah, I think so.
Well, and that's I think again by being able to operate and make decisions kind of based on what's fun for us. People can see that. It's like, oh, these guys are having a blast.
Yeah. I guarantee you, it might be a stretch to travel, but you'd have a lot more fun seeing us have a lot more fun than seeing us roll through on a Tuesday night, being like, "Oh wow, we're in El Paso."
Yeah.
No offense to El Paso, but
no offense to El Paso, but
like,
I get that.
Come to El Paso. It's going to be a Tuesday. You might not want to go out. You might not be able to afford to get a babysitter. It's like, Anyway, it works for us.
Yeah.
Nice. That's cool. What else did you have anything you wanted to mention, Andrew?
I had several things, but it depends on whether or not we want to open up a can of worms.
So let's talk about Strats.
Strat.
Tad mentioned like in this last group of songs that we recorded, he played a Strat on a lot of stuff. Andrew was talking about how we kind of favor Gibsons, like set neck humbucker kind of guitars. That works in a live setting, but then recording anything's off. But like, I'm curious as to what y'all think about you coming up, how you come up in the world of guitar. I feel like the Strat is very polarizing.
I think my first electric guitar was a Squier Strat that I got because I liked Jimi Hendrix.
Sure.
Like, I don't have them now. I don't think they're comfortable.
Really?
Oh, see,
I think they're very comfortable.
Oh my God, it's the most comfortable guitar ever. I was like, oh my God, it fits me like a slipper.
Well, that was the point.
That's how I feel about Tellys.
My body's a little different than yours.
Yeah.
Carrying around a butcher block.
My first Telly was a thin line, so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No, I like the offsets. They're just more comfortable for me.
Yeah. No, and they work well for a woman's body.
They do. Yeah. Much better.
I feel like Fender's just so crushing it right now.
They are. They're doing great with their marketing.
It's just so forward. It's
forward.
Gibson is, and I love Gibson, and goodness, the perceived notion is so. Like almost any Gibson guitar looks like a violin or something. It looks, even though Fender, we're talking mid-century, it's still mid-century modern, and it's still that kind of thing. I feel like it's always going to appeal to youth.
It might, yeah. But when
or
people,
seems more attainable.
It's definitely more affordable.
Yeah.
Like way more affordable, and
Oh yeah.
I don't think you see a lot of young musicians really playing Gibsons just because of the affordability. So that when you're a young musician, you listen to young musicians, and then
Right. I mean, I wanted a 58 Les Paul from the time I could remember what guitars were, because all the people that played them, and my dad had a friend Lee Baker who had one, and he played one.
Yeah,
But, Moloch, that's right. But like, so like even just the bridge and middle and the neck and middle position, like, see, like we come from a world of the 80s, like growing up in the 80s, so that was everywhere.
And the 70s.
And there was a backlash to it.
Yeah.
You know, it was like a chorus pedal and a quacky out-of-phase Strat was like corny.
With a lot of reverb too.
So wonderful.
But such a
Steve Miller.
such
it's
a
a great sound.
guilty pleasure. You
Yeah.
know, it's like eating a fridge full of Haagen-Dazs.
Or even Bad Brains. That's a Strat with a chorus pedal.
Totally.
What's wrong with that?
So I'm really curious as how it's shifted now.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it's, people kind of go, like, they don't have any cultural baggage going back to it, and they're like,
Right.
this sounds rad to me.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'll play through that jazz
Cultural
chorus.
baggage
I have a
Yeah.
jazz
is the name
chorus.
of your
Come on.
autobiography.
Cultural baggage, the Steve Selvidge
Cultural
story.
I mean, I'll share my hot take on what I think, like Fender and Gibson and all of that is pretty straightforward. I worked at Guitar Center a couple years ago for a couple of years, and for every Gibson that I sold 10 to 15 Fenders. It just,
I'm sure.
I mean, they sell themselves, and the big thing is there's more variety for a variety of
There's a lot of
people
variety.
who are coming to guitar and trying to learn in terms of body shapes and comfortability.
And sonic variety.
Sonic variety. It's the Fender Play. What they're doing with Fender Play is
Smart.
so genius. It hurts my head. Like, how is nobody else doing this? This is genius.
Well,
Steve brought this up yesterday, the day before, and I have to apologize. I am so oblivious to like what like. I mean,
I look at the internet.
Yeah, and I do not.
Yeah.
The only time I ever really post stuff on Instagram is when we're out doing this, and it's I don't even put the social media tag that I'm supposed to in it because I can't even remember it.
I won't tell Brandon.
I know I'm gonna get a
knows.
text message from him
Did you?
like, dude, you got to use the tag, and I'm like, I don't know what it is.
THSCS.
There you go.
THSCS.
What is CS?
Constructive
Summer,
Summer.
dog.
But why wouldn't it be like CSSEA?
Oh yeah, I wondered about that. we're keeping it just for the whole thing.
Yeah, for the whole
Alright.
thing.
It's one whole constructive summer. Well, you were saying I brought something up.
No, we're talking about the Fender Gibson. The difference in the relationship between the two, and how Fender is such a younger brand.
It is,
And I
isn't
don't.
it?
And I, what you said, I'm like, oh yeah, I guess that's kind of true.
Yeah.
But I don't, and this goes, I don't want to derail this conversation because I actually am super fascinated by this and I want to kind of understand more of it. But, I guess I mostly just get the gear that I get because that's what I've always wanted. I always wanted, or because I see somebody using it that I want to emulate, which I think is another big part of how people.
I mean, that's why I bought a Jazzmaster.
Exactly.
I like Elvis Costello.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
hey.
I mean, we've really got into the whole 335 thing, or 3XX. I mean, it's just there's something. It's kind of the perfect guitar in a lot of. I mean, it's one of the greatest American inventions. I mean, Ted McCarty, it's.
I don't even know what he's talking about right now.
I don't know that name, but
Ted McCarty was the guy that ran
Invented.
Gibson.
Yeah,
he was like, you know what? Like,
right.
we need this. Like, he was the one that pushed to get a semi-hollow guitar.
Right.
He pushed to get the PAF. Like, with
Yeah.
Seth Lever to make the PAF.
Okay.
yeah.
Also like 335s because they're a little bigger and they're slimming. They make me look skinnier.
That's why it's like a purse.
I
It
just
covers
got
up
a
the belly.
I just got my friend Jamie. My friend builds guitars under Tunatone, and it's so small. I'm like, oh, this is great. It's so comfortable. And I see myself in a picture. I'm like,
I'll never
Oh,
play
that little
this.
that guitar. Yeah.
No, I play it all the time.
So
I love it.
what was that?
Make me look small.
It's so small.
Ronnie Wood was playing that one guitar, and I said to Tad, I was like, that looks like one of Emily's guitars.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
No, it was like for the first couple of
floral
songs.
telly? Huh.
It wasn't. It was in weird shape. It was like.
Oh.
And it was kind of
It was like
black
a-
and sparkly.
No. It was like pink.
Oh, that's right. It was. Yes.
Oh, nice. I didn't
tried-
even notice.
I tried to get
Yeah.
a picture of it.
I probably won't be able to find a picture of it. I'll look later. But yeah. Oh no, yeah, I know. I think I remember what
Yeah.
you're talking about, and I probably thought the same thing. But also, that show has a lot of emotions. for me. That was really cool. The guy next to me was just really distractingly playing air guitar the whole time.
Oh,
like
dude,
really, I was like, you gotta stop. And I was thinking about switching with my husband, but apparently the guy he was sitting next to was also super, super weird. So
it brings it out.
It does.
That's too bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I as Dusty, our tech, was saying when we left, like, I'll be unpacking that one for a while.
It's a lot to unpack. Lots to unpack.
That was great. I didn't know what to expect. I never really know what to expect.
I kind of went with a bad attitude, or maybe like a self-protection mode sort of thing. It's like, whatever, this is going to be like lame, like, you know.
Yeah.
I almost didn't go.
Yeah, it's like they're not going to get me. They're not going to, you know. And fucking Charlie Watts, man, like that was
Class act.
heroic. I mean,
Yes.
he's, you know, just ruling the stage, ruling an arena, just driving it with a little tiny Gretsch kid and playing like a jazz musician, and like just he's so good.
So and Ronnie, God,
Ronnie came to
still
life kind of
so
halfway
good.
through. Like,
He went for it.
yeah.
I didn't
See, I think Ronnie was making a conscious nod to Mick Taylor.
Yeah.
Like when they did Midnight Rambler, I think he was on purpose that he played the Les Paul,
Yeah.
and I swear he even played a little bit of Mick's stuff from like Get Your Ya-Ya's Out. Like that was a highlight for me. Was Midnight Rambler. That was amazing.
That was a really good show. My husband, when he was maybe 11, his mom left him with a sitter and went to see the Rolling Stones, and he got so mad because he liked the Stones. He's 11, he liked the Stones. He got so mad he dug an enormous hole in the yard, and he never got to see them.
This is
Wow.
I have so many things to say about this, but I don't even want to get into it.
Did he put the records in the hole, or did he just like?
No, I think he just went out back. I guess the sitter wasn't really watching, so he
Like
just dug
scooping the dirt between his legs, like
Yeah, exactly.
dancing like a dog.
Did he
Or,
take
Just a little
shit in it?
scuffle.
It's like, what
Was he
happened?
reading about the Battle of the Bulge, or?
Yeah.
I'll show you, Mom.
Yeah, I'm gonna dig a foxhole.
But dig a hole in the yard.
Screw you, Mom. I do what I want.
This'll teach her to leave me at home with a sitter.
Did you notice how, like, the majority of the show, like, it didn't even look like he knew where he was?
No, I
And
thought the
then
same thing.
He came to life
Yeah.
on the two songs that he sang.
Yeah.
All of a sudden it was like,
Oh, okay,
what
he's
the
all
hell
right.
happened? Yeah.
I was a little worried, and then I'm like, all right, he's
But
fine.
even on the walk down to like the little catwalk thing, like when he was just like kind of like changing guitars or like walking, he seemed fine. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
cool. But like as soon as he got a guitar in his hands, it was like, I swear to God, at one point he was drooling.
yeah.
You know,
But-
it was arresting to kind of see.
At the same time, I feel like sometimes when I'm playing guitar, and not like this, because I think his seemed more just disinterested, or
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
like he's just like, I can't believe I'm playing this song again.
Yeah.
I know, now that I know that there's going to be the meow, I love it. But I can go into kind of a fugue state sometimes
Sure.
when I'm playing guitar. Like,
Yeah, I mean, I'll definitely have like resting basket case face.
yeah, and there's we've talked about this too. Like you're so into something, you're sitting there, and all of a sudden you get this like little reflection, and you realize you're drooling.
Drooling.
Yeah.
Like, what's that glistening? Oh my god!
Is that me?
Well, and like
man.
it's crazy. Like the older you get, like you're like, oh man, I'm just feeling it, and like you're like got your eyes closed, and you're like maybe you're picturing like, you know, Jimmy Page, the End of the Rain song, you know, and then like you look at it, it's like, oh, I look like a sleepy old man.
Yeah, I'm just picturing me at 20.
Yeah, totally. And then you're like, oh, like look, Gramps is tired.
Yeah, totally. Like, whew. Oh my
Already,
god!
that was.
Would somebody get a chair for him?
I need to sit down.
I'm worried about it. Yeah.
Someone get him like a saline infusion, or
Yeah. You know, don't. He's
could've
he's
done that this
proud. He's not
morning.
gonna. He's gonna get mad if you tell him to sit down.
Yeah.
Well, B.B. King wasn't too proud to sit down.
That's true.
That's true. As long as he's playing, it's all that matters.
I remember sitting when CNBC, like, I know what people are thinking. I'm thinking he's so old he can't even stand up while he plays. And those people, I say, you're right.
You're right. Yeah.
and he's still playing.
Well, he's dead now.
Yeah, he died.
Well, I was thinking in past tense because we were just talking in past.
In heaven.
Can we talk about Eric Clapton?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, hot takes inbound.
Yeah.
Yes.
See, I love to troll people with
What?
Clapton.
Yeah.
Oh, you're gonna tell us a Clapton story? I have a Clapton story.
I have a Clapton story.
All right. You go first.
Well,
are we
we'll
gonna tell
just
our Clapton stories?
let me get, because I'll get this out of the way. Because
Yeah.
Yes.
like I think it's because I wanted to get to the Eagles too. The Eagles is easy. People that hate the Eagles, I hate the fucking. You know what? I got two words for you: Joe Walsh. That's 4 words. But
Just meow right
the
the
phone.
yeah, like
off.
no, like I'm into the Eagles. I love Joe
Alright.
Walsh. Eric Clapton. I had mixed feelings about that whole thing, and I think he's easy to
He's an easy mark, certainly.
Yes.
Depending on
Yeah.
the era you're looking at.
Yeah, he's kind of like, oh, he sucks or whatever. But the couple of things that I remembered watching the documentary on Showtime, one was he invented it.
Yeah.
Like, he was the first guy to plug a Les Paul into a Marshall.
And turn it all the way up. I mean,
Yep.
and Jimmy Page will say that.
Yeah.
I mean, with great reverence. It's just like Eric cracked the code,
Yeah.
and you can't front on that. I mean, like
No.
if you like loud rock guitar, he has so
Yeah,
much to do
that's
with
where
it.
it comes from.
Yeah.
Like, and if you listen to some of the stuff he did with John Mayall, like, and then you listen to Led Zeppelin, like, you're like, holy shit, he lifted whole lines from Eric Clapton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, and also to speak to sort of maybe Clapton's demeanor, and I think which left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouth. He had two of his closest relationships with other guitar players, like friends that he made that I think were really important relationships to him. Both passed away almost within a couple of years of him meeting them. Like Jimi
Yeah.
Hendrix and then Duane Allman.
Yeah.
And I think that was harder for him. Like, nobody's ever
That's
really.
hard.
I haven't heard anybody bring that up before.
Yeah.
No, I remember. So like, Dickinson said a funny thing, or not a funny thing, but he kind of nailed it when I guess it was when Stevie Ray Vaughan died.
Yeah,
And
that too.
Dickinson's like, I've never seen death follow somebody like it does him.
Eric Clapton.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, look, his late '70s and early '80s, you know, it's whatever, it is what it is. But like, I just like people that have like kind of like, I don't know, maybe they consider them like they have a sort of punk rock way to look at the world, and like they can't say. And I'm like, check this out. I love it. They get so mad for no reason. Like I'm just like, you know.
Yeah.
But like, I mean, Blues Breakers with Mail, Cream, Blind Faith, like. The other thing too is like his look was unstoppable. Back
Yes.
then.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh my
like,
God.
He had it so put together,
Yes.
man. I mean,
Like and that Derek and the Dominoes record is incredible, hands down.
Bell Bottom Blues, man.
Yes.
I mean, you know.
Yeah.
I guess that was an abrupt
Yeah,
sort
yeah.
of. We ran out of gas.
Yeah.
I was in a guitar store for an event a few months ago, and some guy comes up, he starts talking to me and a girlfriend, and he's like, oh, how long have you been playing guitar? I'm like, well, I've been playing since I was 8. So he's like, oh, wow, that's great. He's like, you know who you should listen to? And I was like, who should I listen to? He's like, you should listen to Eric Clapton. I'm like, you think I haven't f***ing listened to Eric Clapton?
Oh, who is this Clapton you speak of?
I was like,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh,
Deep
yeah.
cut, bro.
It's like, you gotta listen to his vibrato technique. I'm like,
Yeah.
And he's the guy from the Eagles, right?
Yeah. So I used to work at a guitar store in the '90s.
Yeah.
Sold vintage guitars. And we were right across the street from the Peabody Hotel, which is like the nice hotel.
I know the people.
Yeah.
My friend,
Ducks.
The Ducks.
My friend just texted me. She's like, "Tell Steve I drank with him at the Peabody."
Who is that?
I'll tell you later.
Okay. So everybody who stayed at the Peabody would come over. So Eric was doing his like blues tour. Oh yeah. Hello. So I'm sitting there packing a box, you know, guitar box, and I'm like, dude, like this guy walking across the street looks just like Eric. Oh, whoa, that is Eric Clapton. And so he walks in, and it's like, fuck, that's Eric Clapton, man. And like, so I'm using like newspaper to pack the box, so I've got like ink.
Oh yeah.
He's like, hey, I'm Eric. I'm like, dude, my hands are filthy. He's like, I don't care. Shakes my hand, right? People were like, kind of freaking out at this point. He's like picking up. He was really into like cheap acoustics, like the old K's, and you know. So he's picking those up, playing, singing songs. You know, he's like, would y'all want tickets to the show? Yeah, sure. You know, buys a bunch of stuff, and like this guy's like, I'm gonna get my guitars in the car. I'm gonna go get him to sign it. So his handlers are like, hey, we gotta go. He's like, no, I have to wait for this guy to come back with his guitar. Signs the guitar, leaves. We're like, wow, that was amazing. We go to the show, great seats, great show. The next day he comes back. He's like, were your seats okay? Did you enjoy the show? We're like, yeah. I was like, I'm so glad. So everything worked out. You got in all right. Like, it was amazing. He was like the nicest dude.
That's awesome. Yeah. Speaking of nice dudes, thanks so much for coming out and doing this.
Yep.
We'll leave it with you,
with
Eric.
us.
Thank you.
Yes. All right. Well, I'm he's not going to make it to the show tonight. I'll look forward to seeing you guys.
Final night.
Yes. If you are in, this will probably come out next week. So if you're in Chicago, Nashville, Boston, or Brooklyn, check out the whole city when they come to your town. Get the new record, Thrashing Through the Passion. Is it?
Out yesterday.
Out yesterday. It's a good record. And like on Facebook, follow on Instagram, rate and review this podcast on iTunes, please. And everyone want to say goodbye?
Wait, can I do it?
Yes.
So if you like what you hear, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and don't forget to smash that bell icon to get notifications in your email.
Smash that bell icon. You've been watching some Watch Mojo videos or something. All right.
Thank you for listening.
Thanks for understanding.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, nice.